Hi everyone, let's see one more question of similar type. Before going for the main question, I would like to suggest you to watch previous 6 recordings to understand all these 3 questions. Where I have explained DFA to accept substring A, AB or ABB, and also watch where string ends with A, string ends with AB and string ends with ABB. In these 6 videos, I have explained the techniques which I am going to use in this question. So here question is design DFA that reads strings made of letters CHARIOT and recognizes the string contain the word IOT as a substring. Here what is the condition? Condition says that based on the sigma given, here sigma is given indirectly. They have mentioned automata is going to read all the symbols of this word. For example, C, H, A, R, I, O and T. So sigma contains all these 7 symbols. Automata will be reading these all symbols and going to accept all the strings where IOT as a substring. So IOT should be present there. So our minimum length string is IOT. It means what? IOT should be present, but before IOT any string can come at any time, 0 or many times. After IOT any string or any symbol can come 0 or many times. Now let's start designing the DFA. Our starting state is Q0. The first string is IOT. IOT should get accepted. It means what? By reading the IOT, automata should go to the final state. So first state Q0, one state read one symbol. First symbol is I. Going to non-final, I should not get accepted. Next symbol is O. Q1 reading O. Going to another state Q2. Q2 reading third symbol T. IOT. Our string should contain IOT as a substring. So IOT should get accepted. So Q3 is final state. I am making Q3 as a final state. So IOT gets accepted. As usual, once we design DFA for our main condition, start making automata deterministic. Deterministic means what? From each state there should be transition for each symbol of sigma. In this case, sigma contains 7 symbols. We have transition from Q0 for 1 symbol. So for remaining 6 symbol we need to find transition. As I explained in previous 8 videos how to find this transition. Let me repeat once again for this question. I want to find transition from Q0. Ask yourself how to reach to Q0 from starting state. How to reach to final state from Q0. Starting Q0 is same, so nothing is here. Q0 to final, I need to read the IOT. And at Q0, I need to find transition for remaining 6 symbols because transition for I is present. Other than I, what is there? C, H, A, R, O, T. Our target is IOT should be present. Before IOT, if any symbol is coming, maybe once, twice, thrice or many times, doesn't matter. Because our IOT is getting read, or these symbols are not coming means 0 times. Whether these symbols are coming or not coming, that is not going to matter. Our focus is on the IOT, the way I have explained here. Before IOT, anything may come or may not come. May or may not means 0 or many times. 0 or many times means self loop. Self loop for which symbol? For all symbol other than I. Which are those? C, H, A, R, O, T. So you can do the self loop here for all the symbols C, H, A, R, O, T. Already we have transition for I. Now Q0 becomes our deterministic. Similarly, make Q1 deterministic. How to make Q1 deterministic? You can follow the same approach. Write down the state Q1 which you want to make deterministic. How to reach to Q1 from starting state? By reading I. How to reach to final state from Q1? By reading OT. Now Q1 is looking for transition for which symbol? If I take here symbol by symbol, there are 7 symbols. If I take first here C, is this valid string? No, this is not valid. But as I explained in previous 8 recordings that here initially it may not valid, but at this moment I am trying to read C at Q1. But after reading C, what is the next symbol, we don't know. I'm not firm about the next symbol. After C, O may come, T may come, or any other symbol may come. Many more possibilities, as there are 7 symbols. But if any valid string is coming, for example, I'm writing the same string here, I, C, and Q1 is trying to find transition for C. After C, anything may come, but I need to consider the positive possible case. What is that? If IOT is coming, out of those many possibilities, if IOT is coming, it should get accepted. It means what? This complete string should get accepted because it contains IOT as a substring. So if Q1 is trying to find transition for C, if I am writing like this, Q1 is a state trying to find transition for C, it's going to some other state, and that some other state should read the IOT, and that should go to final. Why? Because this is a valid string. Q1 reading the transition for label C, going to some other state will read the IOT and will go to the final state. Now we need to find what is the some other state which will read the IOT and will go to final state. Observe from these 4 states, Q0, Q1, Q2, Q3. Check for Q0. Q0 reading IOT, check, yes. Q0 reading I, O, T and going to final, satisfying. So here other state is nothing but the Q0. It means what? Transition from Q1 to Q0 for symbol C. Similarly, if I take here H, next symbol is H. I, H. Initially IH, this is not valid, but after H, IOT may come. So Q1 is trying to find transition for H. It will go to some other state, and from that some other state there is a path for IOT, which will go to final state. So which is the state having path for IOT? It's a Q0. So here in addition to C, H may come. Similarly, if I go for A, same thing. If I write here A, it's invalid initially. If I write here A, but later on IOT may come. So again connect transition from Q1 for A, which will go to Q0, Q0 to path from IOT, go to final. Similarly, I can find for the R also. See, R also. Initially it's invalid IR, so I am making it as a valid IOT. So Q1 is trying to find transition for R, which will go to the state Q0. From state Q0 there is a path for IOT which will go to final. So I am writing here R also. Then next one is O. Similarly we can find for O. Do we need to find? No, because already there is a transition for O. Deterministic, only one transition for one symbol, so O is not required. Next one is a T. So Q1 is trying to find transition for T, which will go to some other state from where there is a path for IOT, because IT, this is not valid. We made it as valid by writing IOT. So it's a Q0. So I will be writing here T also. Is this Q1 deterministic? No. One more symbol is remaining. What is that symbol? The symbol is nothing but I. If you remember, I told in the previous recordings that if I am trying to make it as a valid, I need to utilize existing symbol. If you see previously, here is a C or H or any. If I take here T, if I want to utilize previously symbols IT to make it as a valid string. So using IT, I cannot make as a IOT, because here is a T. I need to write separately complete 3 symbols to make it as a valid. But now if I want to find transition for I, already I is there, so I need not to write complete IOT. I need to make Q1 deterministic again. I am trying to find transition for I. How to reach to Q1? By reading I. How to reach to final? By reading OC. See, not OC, it's a OT. Now see, it becomes valid. IOT is there. If 2I are coming, suppose OT is there. If 2I are coming, then also IOT is there. If suppose 3I are coming, then also IOT. All these are valid string. If suppose I is not coming, assume that I is not coming. So it is epsilon. I dot epsilon dot OT. It becomes IOT. Again, this is valid. What I mean to explain here, Q1 is trying to find transition for 0 number of I. 1 I or 2 or 3 I. It means what? 0 or many I. Q1 is trying to find transition for 0 or many I. So 0 or many means what? Self loop for I. Now Q1 becomes deterministic. Similarly, we need to make Q2 as a deterministic. So how to make Q2 deterministic? Just try to find out. Follow the same approach. Write down the state which I want to make deterministic. In this case, it's the Q2. How to reach from starting to Q2? In this case, by reading IO. So I'm writing here IO. How to reach to final from Q2? By reading T. In this case, try to find out transition for symbol other than T. So 6 symbols are there. If I write all those symbols, if I take first C, then is this valid string? No. Initially it's invalid, but we can make it as a valid. Reason? Because after reading the C, we don't know what is next. Next symbol again come IOT, so that becomes valid. So again I'm writing this. How to reach to Q2? By reading IO. I'm trying to find transition for C from the state Q2. At this time it is not valid, but I want to make it as a valid because this is one of the possibility. After C, any symbol may come at any time. Out of that, this is one of the possibility. IOT may also come. So in that case, what you need to do? You need to write down transition for C. Q2 reading C will go to some other state, and that some other state will read the IOT and will go to final state. It means what? This IOT, by reading IOT, automata going to final state. Why? Because this IOC IOT is a valid string, and valid string after reading automata should go to the final state. Now you need to find out which is this other state that will read the IOT and will go to final. This is the scenario same as previously explained for Q1. That is nothing but Q0. From Q0 there is a path for IOT. You may say from Q1 also there is a path, self loop for I. But remember, self loop means what? May or may not come, 0 or many times. That is not the sure path. From Q0 we have the sure path, IOT. So this other state is nothing but the Q0. So transition from Q2 for symbol C will go to Q0. I am writing that one here like this. For symbol C. And from the Q0 there is a path for IOT. If I take the next symbol EH, initially IOH, this is not valid. We need to make it valid because we don't know after H any symbol can come. In that any symbol possibility, in that permutation combination, IOT may also come. And we need to consider this. By reading the IOH, IOT, this string is valid string and that should go to final state. So how to read? Q2 is reading H, Q2 is reading symbol EH, is going to the state, some other state from where there is a path for IOT. Same, it's a Q0. So I can give here EH. If I take another symbol, that is A, initially it is not valid. We need to make it as a valid by writing IOT. Again the same thing, Q2 reading A, going to some other state from where path for IOT. So I need to write here A also. Next one is what? R. If I write here R, is this valid string initially? No. Then make it as a valid because after reading the R, there is a possibility of many symbols. In that many symbol possibilities, IOT may come. It's a valid one that we need to consider. Then transition from Q2 for symbol R going to some other state from where there is a path for IOT. That is nothing but the Q0. So I am writing here R. Next one is I. So next symbol is I. Here remember, already I is coming. Initially IOI, this is not valid. We need to make it as valid. To make it as a valid, I am writing here separately. Initially IO to read the Q2. I am trying to find transition for I at state Q2. Initially this IOI, this is not valid. I want IOT. In the previous all cases, I am writing IOT completely, but already here is I. So I only need to write here OT because I is already present. How to read this? Q2 is trying to find transition for I. Q2 is trying to find transition for I, going to some other state. From that some other state, there is a path for OT, going to final. Why final? Because IOT is there. This is a valid string. valid string should end in the final state. So Q2 transition for I should go to some other state from where there is a path for OT. Now find out which is the state from where there is a path for OT. From Q0 there is no path for OT going to final. From Q1 there is a path for OT going to final. So it's a Q1 state. That some other state is nothing but Q1. So transition from Q2 for symbol I will go to Q1. Transition from Q2 for symbol I will go to Q1. So from Q2 there are transition for 4, 5, 6 symbol. One more is remaining. That is nothing but O. So if I write here O, Q2 is trying to find transition for O. Initially it is not valid. Make it as a valid. Now here is a O. I need to make it as a valid. So I need to write completely IOT. In previous case I was coming, so I have written only OT. Now I need to write here completely IOT. How to read this? Q2 is a state trying to find transition for O going to some other state. From that state there is a path for IOT going to final. Why? Because IOT is a valid string. It should end in the final state. So what is the state reading IOT? We know that it's a Q0. I have explained that in the previous cases. So transition for this O from the state Q2, transition for this O will go to Q0. And now there is all the possible 7 transition from the state Q2, T, O and this 5. Is this deterministic now? No. Q3 is still not deterministic. So make Q3 deterministic. How to make it? Same uniform approach. How to reach to Q3 from starting state? Starting state is Q0. How to reach to Q3? By reading IOT. See, Q0, Q1, Q2, then Q3. By reading IOT, I am reaching to Q3. At Q3, I am trying to find transition for which symbols? All 7 symbols. Because Q3 there is no transition for any other symbol. Our main condition is string should contain IOT. One string is read here. Before and after, any symbol may come or may not come. It means what? After reading this IOT, any symbol, it may be C, 1 C can come, 2, 3, 4, any C can come, or 0 number of C can come. Similarly for H, multiple H can come. Similarly for A, similarly for all the symbols. All these symbols may come once, twice or 100 times, or may not come, means 0 or many. And as we know, whenever there is a scenario of 0 or many, we need to give the self loop for which symbol? For all these symbols. So give the self loop. I am giving self loop at state Q3. For which symbol? For all symbol. 1 C, then H, A, R, I, O and then T. And this becomes your final answer. Here all states are deterministic, hence this automata is deterministic finite automata to accept all the string which contain IOT as a substring. That's what the main condition, and it's going to satisfy in this DFA. You can practice all these 3 videos again on your own. You can watch the recordings again and again. Previous to that, watch all the 6 to 8 recordings where string ends with different characters and string contain different symbol as a substring. Thank you for watching.